Welcome back. President Trump's decision to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook has brought the issue of mortgage fraud to the forefront, but the practice may be less widespread than you might think. Diana Olick joins us. She has that story. Diana.
Well, David, mortgage fraud risk is rising slightly, but it's still at a very low level, and lenders are catching it more often now thanks to technology. Mortgage application fraud increased just over 6% nationally in Q2 from a year ago, that according to Cotality. Again, that's applications, which can predict risk. But overall, it's a really low amount, as in the share of fraud in all mortgage applications went from 0.81% to 0.86%. So there's your risk. Now, last year, there were just over 3,100 actual reports of potential mortgage origination fraud from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac alone, and that's according to the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That excludes private lenders. But according to the U.S. Sentencing Commission, last year just 38 individuals were sentenced for the crime of overall mortgage fraud. Average sentence length, 18 months. Now, Cotality's Matt Seguin, who's an expert in mortgage fraud, says a lot of fraud cases are just not prosecuted because lenders say it's not worth the time and the money. They just deal with the repercussions of the bad loan, like a potential foreclosure. I spoke with lender Gary Kingsbury at Vellum Mortgage, who said he sees the most fraud in mortgages for 2 to 4 family buildings. So the buyer will claim that they're living in one unit but renting out the others. And that's because the difference in the mortgage rate for an owner-occupant versus an investor depends on how big the down payment is. Now, smaller down payment, bigger difference. Now, it's interesting, though, Fannie Mae recently lowered the minimum down payment for 2 to 4 unit buildings from 25% to 5%. So that could be part of why we're seeing more fraud. Back to you guys.
Diana, did we see a spike in these kinds of applications when, coming out of COVID, where we weren't really sure who or where our primary residence was going to be?
Well, I wouldn't call it a spike. Remember, it's a very small number to begin with, so that's why that 6% seems higher. But you did see people moving. It's not necessarily on that occupancy fraud, though. They don't break that out. So it's hard to say whether that did mean, some people moving to different places and citing that. So there's no specific data on that.
Right. Yeah. It was a strange time for mobility, as we all remember.